Ahlan wa sahlan. Welcome to the Oriental Café, a podcast where we will sit at the same table to explore the fascinating worlds of Egyptian dance, personal empowerment, and halas, life. I'm your host, Joana Saahirah, world-renowned Oriental dancer, teacher, choreographer, and author, the creator of the pioneering Joana Saahirah's World and Joana Saahirah's Online Dance School. I will meet you at the Oriental Café every 2 weeks, alone or with a guest, sharing intimate yet universal conversations. In agreement or disagreement, we will create bridges and inspire each other, because the world is only one, and so is our human soul. Ready to fall in love? Yalla bina! What have we lost and gained in the art of Egyptian dance, Raqs el-Sharqi, what people usually call, erroneously, belly dance? What has improved in the last decades? What has been forgotten? What have we lost track of in terms of what is the essence of Egyptian Oriental dance? Here's the theme of this exciting episode of the Oriental Café podcast. I'm your host, Joana Saahirah, and once again I am going to draw from my experience as a performer, a teacher, an author, an observer, and an obsessed lover of Egyptian dance. I've been working in this field for more than 2 decades, first in Egypt, then around the world, more recently reaching even more people online with my online dance school and platform and this podcast. And I am here to tell the tale. What have I observed of positive and negative changes in the field of Egyptian dance in Egypt and abroad? Now, let me start by sharing a disclaimer. What I'm going to share is my observation. It's not the universal truth, and it's not the only angle. And if you have been involved with this dance form for as long or perhaps even longer than I have been, feel welcome to share your feedback. What are the positive and negative changes you've observed? I am here to share what I know, but I'm also here to learn from you guys. So don't feel shy and offer your constructive feedback. Now that I got that out of the way, let's dive into the things that have been lost and the things that have been gained. Now, it is also important to claim that Egyptian dance has gone through so many transformations. It is allegedly the oldest dance known to mankind. So yes, it has changed a lot. It has morphed into new ways, new purposes, new languages even, and it has developed in ways that please some and displease others. It comes without saying that there is no evolution without involution. Sometimes we take a step forward and then we take a step back and then we become stagnant and then we jump forward again. Evolution is not a straight line. It's dynamic, just like life. I'm also going to invite you, before I forget, to join our podcast newsletter. With this episode, I am going to share a very generous discount to be used in a course of your choice at Joana Saahirah's Online Dance School, but you only get that discount if you are inside our podcast newsletter. So before I forget, let me invite you to check the link that I'm sharing either in the description box below this video, if you're watching this episode on YouTube, or in a link in the show notes if you're listening to this episode on the audio platforms. When you follow that link and join our newsletter, you get direct access to a generous discount in any course of your choice at our school, exception made to Joana Saahirah's signature course. But more about that later. What have we gained? Let's start with the pros. The positive changes that I have seen traveling the world, observing what's going on in Egypt, working in Egypt and seeing what's going on around me, working in countries of the West, from China to Spain, from New Zealand to USA, from USA to France, from France to Cyprus, you name it, I have been there, not only teaching, but also learning, checking how people are performing this dance, how they're teaching it, how they're experiencing it. And I'm not here to criticize or point fingers, but I am going to tell you honestly what I think has been gained. The first thing is an expansion of dance vocabulary and the quality of choreographies. In my days as a student, I was privileged to have learned from what I still consider the best in the field. Those are names like Mahmoud Reda, of course, at the top, my dearest teacher and friend and dance and life companion and grandfather, Nagwa Fouad, Suher Zeki, Mona Said, Aza Sharif, just to name a few. Those were and will always be my references. They have shown me what Egyptian dance can look and feel like. They have shared what I came to call the tale of the dragon, the remains of a kind of magic that is no longer there. So I am deeply privileged, but exception made to Mahmoud Reda, who has created an entire vocabulary and style for himself with a Reda troupe, and the legacy has left us all with. The teachers I studied with did not have a great wealth of vocabulary, dance vocabulary, and they certainly had no idea how to choreograph or teach choreography. This is something that has improved enormously nowadays. For Egyptian teachers as well as for Western teachers, there is, generally speaking, a much bigger variety of dance vocabulary. There are more teachers choreographing and choreographing well, at least well, not geniuses, but they can choreograph and they can teach their choreographies. There is an idea of pedagogy, methodology of teaching that did not exist when I was a student. And again, I'm not saying that the iconic dancers I studied with lacked something. What I'm saying is that from my perspective, more dance vocabulary, choreographies, better choreographies, and teaching methodology and pedagogy are positive things. They elevate the dance. They elevate the way we teach and learn the dance. They elevate the respect we have for the dance as an art form. So for me, this is incredibly positive, and it has improved, 500%. It is so shocking how much better we are, generally speaking, in Egypt and abroad, in terms of choreographing, teaching, and adding more vocabulary, more colors, more words to our dance. That for me is a great plus. And we've gained it. We're doing it. We should congratulate ourselves for it, okay? Another positive thing is the improvement of festivals, schools, venues for learning. When I started studying Egyptian dance, I had to go to Egypt to learn, okay? And this is not only because I am a hardcore student and I like to learn things from the best and from the roots. That is true. I am hardcore, and if I gotta learn something, I have to learn from the best. This is me, okay? But that's not the only reason why I had to go to Egypt to learn. The main reason is there was not much option in the West. I had studied with Shokri Mohammed, a wonderful Egyptian teacher who was based in Spain, in Madrid, while I was enjoying a scholarship at the Conservatoire of Acting. So that was luck. That was, by chance. I did not go to Spain to study with Shokri. I earned a scholarship as an actress, and it happened that he taught there. And I decided to go for it. But other than Shokri, in Spain, there was nothing in my country that I could go for. There was no teacher, no school, no workshop venue, no books, no videos. Remember, this is pre-internet. Can you figure that out? Can you imagine that? Pre-internet, more than 20 years ago. So yes, it was much harder to learn Egyptian dance than it is nowadays. Today, you have festivals all over the world organized by professional, kind, and generous people. I've worked with loads of them, and I can speak for them. They are amazing. They have made enormous efforts, taken sacrifices, and worked their years off to dignify and to bring the dance to the world. I absolutely love these organizers. I have deep respect for them because I've organized events in the past and I know how hard it is and risky, and you don't get the recognition that you deserve as an organizer. And I respect these people immensely. Festival organizers, event organizers, course organizers. Nowadays, if you want to learn Egyptian dance, man, you have so many options, and you have terrible teachers, that is for sure. Average, wonderful, at the distance of a click. You have books, you have online courses. Hello, Joana Saahirah's Online Dance School, right there, and others. You have free content on YouTube, on Google, everywhere. It has never been easier to learn Egyptian dance. Nonetheless, let me make a note here. Just because it's easier to learn Egyptian dance, it doesn't mean people are learning it better. But that's a conversation for another episode, okay? There is a lot of information, but very little wisdom and real knowledge. But that's another conversation. I do think that a larger amount of people teaching, more venues, more events, and more books on the subject is a positive change. And make no mistake, the way you can learn today is way easier, more dynamic, and better than the way I had to learn so many years ago. All right. So it has never been easier to dive into this magical art form and enjoy it. And I think that's wonderful. Wonderful. I just hope that students make the best of it and they're criterious in the choice of their teachers, okay? Because remember, there is so much noise and so much invitation and so much dispersion, and people sometimes get lost. They don't know, where should I go? Who is the professional teacher? Who knows, right? It is hard to know exactly where should you go. Where is your best learning experience? So having made that note, I'm still very satisfied. I'm thrilled that new generations of dancers can fall in love and practice this art form in a much easier and fluid manner than I did. That's another positive change. Then we have a higher expectation of quality of performers and teachers and authors. We expect more from the ones who perform, and we expect more from the ones who teach and write about Egyptian dance. That was not the case 10 years ago or 20 years ago. Not much was expected from an Oriental dancer. You know, either in Egypt or in the West, people would expect maximum an exotic, beautiful, sexy woman moving in sensual, faraway land kind of ways. That's it. And if you could pull that card off, you would be fine. You would have work. And I have spoken with older generation dancers of Egypt and abroad, like USA or England, who have no shame in admitting we were hired for nothing. We were hired if we could move our hips and play around with a veil. That's it. So it was so much easier to get hired. There was so much more work in the traditional venues of nightclubs and theaters and cabarets, but the expectation of quality was way lower. Therefore, the quality of the dances and the teachers was not as high as it could have been. These days, I do think we expect more quality from a choreographer, more quality from a performer, from a published book, from a seminar, from a teacher. We expect a higher quality of delivery in all areas in the realm, in the universe of Egyptian dance. And yes, I know it's a lot of work and you gotta be fresh and on it all the time, but that's what will make our craft evolve and that's what will make us grow as Oriental dancers. So yes, let's expect even more. Let's demand even more quality. All of us will gain from it. Now, these are the positive things, right? And once again, let me take a sip of my coffee. If you have witnessed other phenomena, if you have seen other improvements happening in our field, in Egypt or abroad, I would love to know about it. Okay, drop in the comments and let me know what are the other improvements that you have seen in this dance in the last decades. I would love to know about it. Now, what have we lost? What have we forgotten? Okay, and I prefer the word forgotten because I don't think nothing ever gets lost in the dance. The dance sits there, untouchable, in its core. It is what it is, and it preserves its magic and essence. We may forget about it. That's another conversation, but if we forget, we can remember, right? So what have we forgot in the field of Egyptian dance? I think we have forgot that Egyptian dance is soulful. We have lost the soulful, spiritual dimension of the dance. You don't see that much these days. In fact, when I see a dancer in her or his soulful mode, when they're dancing from their soul, I am shocked. I'm surprised. I think, is this person an alien? Or am I seeing it right? Is this really happening? Because it's so rare, And mind you, I see dancers every day. At Joana Saahirah's online dance school, we have courses happening all the time. I ask my students for homework assignments. I offer personalized feedback to a lot of those dancers in many courses. So I have people sending me their dance pieces basically every day. In my private coaching programs, I review homework assignments every week from many dancers. In my professional mastermind program for dancers who want to launch their course and their performance professional level, I also see what they're doing, what they can create, and where they go when they're asked to dance by themselves. And I assure you that soulfulness is a rare occurrence. Rest assured, I teach my students how to remember what it means to dance from their soul. But it is an active worry. It is an active effort. It's something that I have to push for and from every single day. Because generally speaking, dancers are not doing it. There is no environment for it. It seems there is no time for it. Dancers are running a lot. They're pushing a lot. They're competing a lot. The space and the time for soulfulness doesn't seem to be available. So it is a full-time job, really, for me to awaken or to make them remember what it means to dance in a soulful way. It's a pleasurable job. I love awakening dancers to their soul, back into their soul. I love it. But it's still something that doesn't come without effort and continuous diligence. So yes, we have forgotten what it means to dance with our soul. And that is a shame. The second thing we have forgotten is actually connected with soul, and it is true emotion. Once again, we have become much more cerebral, logical, controlling, competitive, aggressive, and masculine in the worst possible way. And mind you, I'm not criticizing, I'm including myself in it, okay? I, like everyone else, have been pushed to be more competitive, drier, sharper, more mechanical. I live in this world. I'm not coming from Mars, as far as I know. So yes, I have been contaminated as well by this sick idea of masculinity, being number one, being the biggest diva, being recognized, competing, even when we're not competing, right? But I, unlike many other dancers, have the experience of dancing from my heart as a professional dancer, and I am fully aware there is no authentic Egyptian dance, raqs al-sharqi, belly dance, whatever you may like to call it, without heart. You may try, and a lot of dancers do. They do try. They memorize choreographies one after the other. They go to festivals. They convince themselves that if they cover all the bases, they are in the best school, or they go to all the events there are in the world. If they memorize 100 choreographies, if they compete and they win, if they perform, if, then they will be true Oriental dancers, rakasat. The truth is that unless you're able to move from your heart and express honest emotion, you are distant from being an Oriental dancer. You may be a dancer. Why not? It's beautiful. Any kind of dancer is beautiful, but not an Oriental dancer, because as far as I know, there is no raqs al-sharqi without heart. That's the door of entrance. That's the initiation gate that will give you access to the language of Egyptian dance. Without it, you will always dance around it, close to it, but not it. So we have lost soul, we have lost heart, and we have also lost a sensibility that my dear teachers had, and that is less can be more. We have fallen into the assumption that if we pour everything that we've got into our dance, all the knowledge, all the ideas, all the choreography beats, all the tricks, all the flicks and flacks, we will be better dancers. This is not true. Again, it's not true. Less is more. In Egyptian dance, as I often teach my students, we search for le mot juste. This is a concept by Gustave Flaubert, a French writer from the 19th century. Le mot juste, the right word, the exact word, the exact movement, step, or posture, not more, not less. The one that will express what I need to express in this particular moment. Not more, not less. The exact movement. That is a lost art in the art of Egyptian dance. Dancers don't know how to do it anymore. Everyone is moving too much, too fast, too aggressively, and more often than not, completely disconnected from the music, from themselves, from their souls, from their hearts, and from what this dance is all about, which is the expression of the human soul, the expression of our identity, our essence as human beings. We have lost track of the truth that less is often more. What else have we lost? What else do you think we have lost? Once again, subscribe to our podcast newsletter. Let me remind you of it while I take another sip at my coffee. When you join our newsletter, you receive instantly a beautiful, generous, I would say ridiculous discount in a course of your choice at Joana Saahirah's online dance school, delivering authentic Egyptian dance, the real thing, and self-empowerment. Find a link to join our newsletter, you know where, in the description box below this video or in the show notes. That's it. Now, aside from the soul, the heart, and the fact that less can be more, we have also forgotten that Egyptian dance is an art form. It's not sports and it's not competition. Now, I don't know from where this trend came from, but man, we have turned this dance into a never-ending acrobatic competition. Who is the biggest diva in the room? Who is number one? Who is the king or the queen of the mafia of Raqs al-Sharqi? Who draws more students? Who shows up more often on social media? Who has more likes and followers? Oh my God, it's the ego. It's the narcissism. Nothing to do with art. Zero to do with art. Well into his 80s, Mahmoud Reda, justly called the father of Egyptian folklore, used to head to his studio in downtown Cairo in Asr al-Nil Street, Rakam Khamsin, number 50, and work every day from Monday to Friday from 8 a.m. until 1 p.m. more or less. Then he would take a break for lunch. Farouk, his assistant and also a dancer of the Reda troupe, he would prepare their lunch, and then Mahmoud would work all afternoon again until 5, 6 p.m. and then he would go home. When I met him and started to study with him, before we started working together, I asked him, Mahmoud, why do you work so much? Why do you come into your studio by yourself, working by yourself every day? You have proved yourself and you have built a legacy. You have put Egyptian folklore on the map. You have created the iconic Reda troupe. You have left us so much. Why do you care? Why do you work so much? Why do you still come to your studio and work every day, non-stop? And you're not even being seen. People had no idea he was doing that. I knew it because I was studying with them, and later on I started working with him. So I knew it because I was with him. But again, there was no social media to promote it. And even if there was, I am pretty sure he wouldn't want to promote every single step that he gave. You know, he was a hardcore dancer who could not live without dancing and creating. These days, we don't have Mahmoud Redas. In no way, shape, or form. We have attention seekers, fame seekers, and power seekers. And that becomes a problem because no art and no elevation can come when we're creating and living from our ego, from our thirst for attention. So it is incredibly important to remember that Egyptian dance is an art form. It is not competition. It is not sports. And it is not a game to see who wins, who's number one, who's number two, who's number three. All that nonsense, all that blind ambition is driving us further and further from the core, the heart of Egyptian dance. And it's urgent that we go back home. We have also forgotten that Egyptian dance is a sensual art form. It's not seduction, not necessarily. I have touched in this point so many times in this podcast, in my free content, in my school, in my writing, but I feel that I always have to go back to it because unfortunately, it's always in the order of the day. Dancers are using this art form as a way of seducing, not as a tool for self-pleasure and enjoyment. Now, I'm not against seduction. I think seduction can be great, but you don't need Egyptian dance for that. And you certainly don't need to identify it with that, because that's one of the reasons, not the only one, but one of the reasons why Egyptian dance is so deeply disrespected till today in Egypt and abroad. People think this is just an exotic, nonsensical, cheap, easy seduction fleek. And they think of it this way because it is portrayed in that way so often. Now, I'm not saying that every dancer is doing it. Of course not. There are a lot of talented, beautiful, intelligent, and self-confident dancers doing an incredible job. And I'm so proud and optimistic because of them. But I'm calling out the shots for the ones who presume that perhaps the only thing they have to offer is their sexiness, their body, their attractiveness, their ability to seduce. I find that understandable, but sad, because I'm pretty sure those dancers have much more to offer than their cleavage or any other sexual invitation they may include in their dance. They're so much more interesting than that. So it makes me sad and it makes me depressed to see that dancers cannot see. They can be more than seduction, and the dance is way more than seduction. It's sensual. You serve yourself first. You enjoy yourself. That's Egyptian dance, baby. Okay? I say this with all my love, all right? Last but not least, we have forgotten that Egyptian dance is a religious art form. Now, before you attack me, let me clarify what I mean. What does the word religion mean? Let's go back to the original meaning of the word, right? Because we have also forgotten what it means to be religious or religion. Religion comes from the Latin religare, okay? Religare, to reconnect, to reunite, to bring together something that has been torn apart. That's what religion means. Egyptian dance is a religious art form in many ways. I'm going to point out two. Egyptian dance is religious in the sense that it reconnects you with yourself, with your heart, with your soul, with your essence. And Egyptian dance is religious in the sense that it reconnects, it interconnects body, mind, heart, and soul. These are the 4 dimensions that I work with when I teach dancers, especially in my signature course. And by the way, if you want to join the waiting list for the upcoming edition of my signature course, Authentic Egyptian Dance and Personal Empowerment from the ABC to Mastery, find the link to do so in the description box below this video or in the show notes. So yes, we work on these 4 dimensions. We reconnect them. My body works with my emotion. My emotion works with my brain. My brain works with my soul. My soul works with my body. My body works with my intelligence. An Oriental dancer is not just a body. An Oriental dancer is intelligent, soulful, emotional, physical. In other words, fully human. Did we get that right? Did we write this down? I hope we have written it down. And this is it. This is an overview, my overview, of what we have gained and what we have lost in the field of Egyptian Oriental dance. Now, once again, it's your turn to share with me. What is it that you think about it? And I don't want you to be afraid to share your perspective. As I mentioned in the beginning of this episode, I love to learn about your perspective, your experience. I believe that different dances with different trajectories will have different angles. I'm speaking from my point of view, but you may have yours. So if you have witnessed improvements in this dance that I have not mentioned, let me know what those are. And if you think we have lost more than what I mentioned, I also want to know all about it. Drop into the comments and share your heart and your head out. Now, I am going to invite you to like this episode if you liked it, share it with your dance peeps, follow it, rate it on the audio platforms, and of course, drop your love in the comments area below the episode. And last but not least, oh my God, let me take a dip of this coffee. Don't forget to claim your discount on a course of your choice at Joana Saahirah's online dance school, delivering authentic Egyptian dance and self-empowerment. That and the link for the waiting list for the upcoming edition of Joana Saahirah's signature course are, as you already know, in the description box below this video or in the show notes, aside from our free learning page with loads of free goodies for you to enjoy. I will see you at our upcoming episode of the Oriental Café podcast with another very special guest that you are going to love. I cannot wait to meet you and see you again. Till then, all my love and my usual warm kiss. Mwah.